Hello, and welcome to a holly jolly episode of We Only Look Thin. I am your holiday turkey, Donald Weigel, and I have lost a little over 100 pounds. And next to me is my beautiful and talented
pile of mashed potatoes. I don't know. Sorry, were you going to say something nicer?
I was going to say something nicer, but now I'm just like
imagining
one of the old cartoons. I'm just imagining that you're a giant pile of potatoes and that we're stranded on some desert island with no food or like out in the middle of the ocean. And I'm just planning to eat you like mashed potatoes now.
Why are mashed potatoes so good? Hi, I'm Catherine Weigel, and I've lost about 150 pounds.
That's amazing.
His lovely non-potato wife.
No, she's clearly not actually potatoes.
No. Thank you for clearing that up.
I just figured I needed a disclaimer in case anyone thought you actually were a pilot talking
podcasting with
potatoes.
a potato?
Yeah,
this is new information.
Yeah.
Hi, and welcome. And it's We Only Look Thin. And this is part 2 of our holiday extravaganza.
Extravaganza is putting it mildly, by the way.
It couldn't be contained in one episode.
No, it sure
Mostly
couldn't.
because we didn't feel like containing it into one episode.
It's our podcast. We'll do what we would like.
Yes.
And you'll like it. Wait, what?
Likely like it.
Yeah.
Hi.
But before we get back into the holidays, we are going to have a sort of holiday-related tip of the week.
Sort of a holiday-related tip of the week to you.
Sort of a holiday-related tip of the week to you, too.
Tao.
Sort of a S-O, sort of a, I can't think of the anagram right now.
It's fine. Hi.
And at the end, we're going to have a product of the week.
Pow!
Pow! A sort of holiday-related. No, it's not at all holiday-related. Well, kind of. Product of the week.
I don't even remember what it was, but we'll figure it out.
Everything relates to the holidays and everything relates to food. That is our philosophy, and we are going to talk about it right now. And it is time for our tip of the week.
I wonder what the sound of us being fast forwarded through sounds like. People are like, I know I've got a good 5 minutes before I have to pay attention to anything that they say.
Before we actually start getting to the good stuff.
They love the chuckles.
Yeah.
We actually were interviewed on the Coco Caliente podcast, which we already talked about. But when the episode posted, they were like, this interesting couple will talk about their weight loss.
They're so inspirational, and they lost a lot of weight, and they'll help you get... Yeah, they didn't mention that we were funny at all.
They didn't mention that we were funny.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we're a comedy podcast that sprinkles in a little bit of weight loss information and health information. Yeah. But, you do what you can.
We were interviewed on a big podcast.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. And they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for our new followers on Instagram and our new fans. But we're also funny. And
if you found us
humble.
on the Coco Caliente podcast, welcome in.
Welcome. You were going to talk about the tip of the week.
I was going to talk about the sort of holiday-related tip of the week to you. Tip of the week to you.
What is it? I don't remember.
So, if you're listening to this when we first post it, it will be the middle of November. And you might be looking at your calendar going like, I made a whole bunch of New Year's resolutions, and I am not going to be able to accomplish any of them.
Well, and I think the problem is, the term set it and forget it?
Yeah.
Goals can't be set it and forget it, because things I said in January, I don't know what I said in January. I don't know what I said like 2 minutes ago.
Well, I set a goal for myself that I was going to do a 100,000 step day, and I did that in July. So I'm pretty happy about that.
So
the tip of the week is to set a New Year's resolution and actually do it. But in all seriousness, I also set kind of a fun New Year's resolution to me, which maybe could be another tip, is make sure you set some fun New Year's resolutions. And it was to read at least 200 comic books this year. And I am looking at the calendar, middle of November, and I am not going to make it.
No.
No.
You can't just read 200 comics?
It's not going to happen. But the actual tip, which I will get to now, is that that doesn't mean that I should stop reading them altogether just because I know I won't make the 200.
Well, I think that's a great point, because we do start a 12-month goal and then go, okay, if I read 200 comics, in a year, that's X number of comics a month, that's one a day, and then when we know we can't hit that, and we go, 200 comics, there's
I
no way
may
I'm
as
going to
well
do it. I'm not going to do anything.
So if you set yourself a goal that you were going to lose 50 pounds this year or 100 pounds this year or something like bananas like that, and you're looking at the calendar and you're going, or even, 10 pounds, and you're like, I don't know if I can lose 10 pounds between now and the end of the year with all the holidays. Like, that doesn't mean you should give up entirely.
Yeah, what could you accomplish in the next 6 weeks?
Like, perhaps readjust your mindset and set a mini goal. Like, I've got 6 weeks left in the year or whatever it happens to be right now. And what can I get done in that amount of time? What can I do right now that when I wake up on January 1st, I'm going to be proud of? And readjust and set it to match that instead of just that all or nothing attitude that so many of us, including myself, fall victim to all the time.
I'm going to throw something at you. Unexpected.
Yeah.
This is unexpected. I'm going to
drop it on you. I don't know if I can handle it. We'll see.
So you haven't hit your comic book goal.
Right.
Realistically, knowing travel and holidays and stuff like that, like, what would you like to commit to?
175.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, really? Like,
actually,
maybe like one a week?
Yeah, maybe like one a week or two a week or something like that. Maybe I could commit to like 25 by the end of the year.
Whoa, that's a lot of...
Well, that's about 2 a week.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, if you think that's realistic.
Oh, yeah. No, maybe that's more than 2 a week. I don't know. Yeah, 25. Let's say 25.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
There'll be a reckoning on January 1st.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's giving up and starting over in a month and a half from now because there's no way you're going to hit a goal, whether it's a water goal or a step goal. What realistically at this season, given how busy you are, how many things are going on, how many obligations you have, what small goal could you put in place? Let us know when you pick it because I think...
Yeah, I would love to hear about your small goals. And then on January 1st, I'd love to hear about you hitting them. That would be great. And that would be an inspiration to all.
More is more than none.
Yes. Yeah. Some is more than...
Have you actually stopped reading comic books at night? Because you didn't think you were
not exactly, but I tend to be like, I'm just going to go to sleep.
Yeah. So the tip of the week is come up with a reasonable goal for the end of the year, and that is our tip of the week.
Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you. We actually have this afternoon free. Our daughter is out with a friend right now. We could be drinking in the daytime. We could be going to rated R movies with curse words. Yeah. We've decided to podcast.
We're podcasting while she's out of the house. Because we are partiers.
Yep, we are. So you're getting the benefit of our dedication. So we're going to move on to our topic of the week, which is food at the holidays and managing it.
And speaking of it being the middle of November, and Thanksgiving is just around the corner, followed by all the, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa situation, lots of food opportunities. Many people out there are saying to themselves, you know what, I'm just going to give up until January 1st. I'm going to start over till then. And what I would say is we are grown-ups, and when you think about doing that, it is crazy. You're just punishing yourself. You're digging yourself into a deeper hole. Let's say that you have a literal hole in your yard that you have to fill, and you know that you have to fill it, and you say to yourself, well, I'll just get to it in January. I'll fill it. Well, maybe that's not so bad. But what if you said to yourself, well, I know I'm going to have to fill it, and I'm going to have to fill it by hand, and it's going to be very hard work. But between now and January 1st, I'm going to, every day or two, I'm going to, take another shovelful of dirt out of it, or 2 shovelfuls of dirt out of it, so that by the time you actually hit January 1st, the hole is even deeper and wider, and it's a lot more work for you.
I'm wondering what's in the hole. What is happening right now that we have so many holes? We're digging bones. We're digging bodies.
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above. But to piggyback on his holy analogy, we put this holiday season on credit. We spend on credit, and a lot of times we calorically spend on credit and then just say we'll deal with the aftermath. We'll deal with the scale. We'll deal with the credit card bill. We'll deal with the giant hole in the backyard.
Yeah, we kick the can down the road. We we think about, well, the tomorrow me will deal with it. Today me just wants to have fun. And, why dig yourself into that hole? Why do that to your future self? Why make it even harder? And maybe you're saying to yourself, I I cannot possibly actually lose weight. Maybe that is too overwhelming. Maybe you should readjust your goal to just be maintain or minimize the damage. If you generally gain 10 or 15 pounds during the holiday season, maybe it's a victory to keep it to 5 this year.
Yeah.
Make it realistic. I'm not saying shelter in place, don't go out and do anything, but perhaps readjust and make it realistic.
Well, and the crazy thing is I listened to last year's holiday episode and I was talking about my belt loop and I was talking about it having taken like 10 months to lose the weight that I had gained the Christmas before.
Yeah.
And it was a really sobering thing to be like, what year is this? Because right now I'm still kind of where I was last Christmas. And the results of the behavior linger far after the behavior occurs. We know that losing 5 pounds is a challenge. I could gain 5 pounds by tomorrow. Like, it's 2:00 right now. Like, yeah. I could find those 5 now.
Yeah, you could do it. I believe in you.
Thanks. I believed in myself for many years. And I thought it was like, I thought a trip back to New Jersey to visit family was like, well, I'm going to gain 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Like 7 days, 5 pounds.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I might as well just do it.
And I did it.
Yeah.
But thinking about working on conscientious choices through the end of the year, making actual decisions and coming up with strategies for your end of the year indulgences, and little things that you can put in place now to help you stay ahead of all of the indulgences that might come your way this holiday season.
And so what can you do? Like, what are some things that you can do? Catherine and I are going to give you some actual, practical, actionable advice. Last episode was a little more about adjusting your mindset and maths. And this week, we'd like to give you some actionable goals. And the big thing that I think you need to do is plan ahead. Don't just willy-nilly indulge all over the place. Like, actually
Such harsh language. Willy-nilly. The children, Donald.
It's supposed to be a family podcast. I apologize, everyone.
Yeah, but you can look at planning 2 ways. One, in the last episode, we talked about literally looking at a monthly planner and looking at the days ahead and the travel days you have, the holiday days, and really plotting those out. And then you can also pre-plan actual days, like individual days as they come, because not all days are going to be the same. Yeah,
maybe you say to yourself, okay, I know I've got the office holiday party on such and such a date, and I know I've got Thanksgiving on such and such a date.
He's going to say such and such.
And, so I know I'm going to indulge on those days. Maybe I give myself a break and I don't count calories. I just enjoy the family and friend time or the coworker time, whatever it is. And I'm just going to, go ahead and really enjoy myself food wise on those days. But I'm not going to just randomly eat somebody's Christmas cookies that they brought into the office. Or I'm not going to use it as an excuse just to go crazy every day.
I was talking to somebody in Wolt Place, WOLT, who was talking about every Thursday their in-laws come over for dinner and they always bring cupcakes.
Oh boy.
And they always bring twice as many as they actually need.
Yeah.
And so the woman brings her cupcakes in to work for her colleagues to eat.
Yeah.
So she's pawning off those calories on someone else because it's the value. Somebody, you spent money. You can't waste no one is needing a cupcake to get through the day. We get a lot
of negative feedback about this when we say it, but it is okay to throw them away. It really is. Like, I know wasting food is considered a cardinal sin, but it is not wasteful if you're going to save other people from health consequences, sincerely.
And if we think about, I'm sorry to take it down a notch, but if you're managing parents whose maybe parents lived through the Great Depression, and food scarcity was a real thing, and it was hammered into them that you eat everything on your plate and you don't waste, and food is, a 3-dimensional form of love. You don't have to carry that another generation down the line. You
Yeah.
don't need to kick the can down the line. And nobody, I'm telling you right now, nobody at your office needs those cupcakes.
They do not.
They have their own problems. And if you're like the movie The Ring, like if you don't watch the video in 7 days, you're going to get killed. But if you give the video to somebody else and they watch it, you won't get killed. But then you have to keep perpetuating it down the line.
Yeah, that is on you at that point.
And but giving someone else a cupcake, you are not doing anyone a favor. I am telling you, nobody needs that cupcake.
It makes you feel better because the food isn't going to waste, but it is going on somebody else's waste, which can be worse.
Well, and it becomes their 365 surprises. It becomes their like, oh, well, I'm going to be like good all week because this weekend we have a party to go to. But Stephanie brought in cupcakes and I love cupcakes and now I'm just going to eat one. Next Thursday, she also brought in cupcakes. I got to eat the cupcakes.
Yeah.
If you're doing that 52 times a year, you're bringing in cupcakes that you don't want for someone else. Suddenly you've given someone else a cupcake problem.
Yeah, for sure. But getting back to the point at hand.
Sorry.
Really plan which days you are going to have your indulgences and stick to that. You know, make it a rule and don't break that ahead of time. And then once you have planned those indulgences, those days, don't show up to those events super hungry.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things for me is, you know, I used to, especially on Thanksgiving Day, or if I was going to a holiday party, I would try and starve myself all day. And then by the time I got there, I would just be ravenous. And then I would just destroy like, all the food.
Well, and the funny thing is that I would not eat all day so that I could tank up later. But the idea of waiting for 11 o'clock to get blood work done.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I can't eat until 11. Like, but then it's like, ooh, at 4 o'clock, I'm going to eat 90,000 calories. For some reason, it didn't seem that hard that time because I was like, I had something to look forward to. But that under eating to overeat is a big, scary fallacy. And I did that for years. And it turns out if you eat a protein-rich breakfast and a sensible lunch, you don't go, it's like they say don't go to the grocery store hungry, don't go to the football party hungry, don't go to the dinner starving.
And just in general during the holiday season, don't allow yourself to get to the point of starving. Make sure you always have some snacks with you, something sensible, you know, access to food. Really think about how your day is going to go and plan and make sure you don't let yourself get to that starving point.
Well, especially with the, you know, thinking of the holidays as its own normal. Things are crazy. You've got extra shopping to do. You've got things to do for work. You've got kid events. You've got family coming into town. That is normal for the season.
Right.
And acting like, oh, I forgot to eat.
Oh, it's a surprise. Oh, I'm reeling out of control now.
And then you end up, you know, going to the mall to go shopping. It's late. And then you end up stopping at the burger joint for a giant fry and Frosty and whatever because you're so hungry because you let yourself get to that point.
There is a part of you that knows when you leave the house to go to the mall on that shopping trip that you're going to get to a point where it's hungry. You know that it's not just going to take you a half an hour. You know it's going to be 2 or 3 hours and that you're going to get there. But there's a part of you, I used to do this all the time, where I would know deep down that I should prepare, but I didn't want to because I wanted an excuse just to eat, you know, the giant mall pizza or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you this, but I keep little bags of nuts in my glove box for emergencies. I was out a couple of weeks ago and I was really hungry and I thought I had a container of peanuts in the glove box.
Yeah.
And they're salty and they're like 250, 260 calories for the package. And I was like, ooh, I'm really hungry. I guess I'll have to eat that. And I opened the glove box and I had 60 calorie packs of pistachios. And I was like, darn me of the past who put healthy snacks in that are sensible. And I was actually really annoyed with myself. I was like, thanks a lot, Catherine.
Well, I'm actually proud of you for doing that.
I'm proud too, because I was hungry. It did just take off the edge, which is what I wanted it to do. But I was a little annoyed that I didn't have an indulgent treat. But we set ourselves up for failure because we do it all the time and we think we're victims, but what we're really really doing is walking into needing that Starbucks sandwich and the latte and the pumpkin whatever, and I'm shaking so much. I'm shocked because I'm so hungry. You know you're going to get hungry, so don't go hungry.
Don't go hungry. And when you get there, you know, if we're talking about a holiday event or something, there generally are things like vegetables at these events. I personally have never eaten those things.
You can't make a friend with a salad.
Yeah, but you know, usually there's a salad, there's some sort of vegetable, there's something that's sort of, you know, more calorie friendly. Try and fill up on that stuff and don't skimp on your water. You know, I'm not saying exclusively eat that stuff, but, you know, take the edge off of your extreme hunger by eating those things.
I just imagined us having like a We Only Look Thin like fun party for all of our listeners, and they show up and they're like water and carrot sticks.
Raw cauliflower.
We warned you.
This is the worst party I've ever been to.
But I used to identify as someone who would bring something very decadent to parties. Like, oh, I got to bring my 9-layer dip or 19-layer dip. Like, let's just add like pats of butter as one of the layers. Why not? And we went to actually like a Super Bowl-y type party a while back, and I looked at my photos because I take lots of pictures.
Yeah.
And I made this beautiful like strawberries mixed with blueberries thing, and it was beautiful and lovely, and it was well received. Like, you can change what you're known for.
Yeah, and that's another one of my tips. Our tips is to bring something to the event. You know, if you're supposed to bring something that you know is relatively calorie friendly, that you know you'll have on hand to eat, so that you're not relying on, you know, the host or everybody else to bring something that will, you know, quote unquote, save you from completely, you know, destroying the day.
Yeah, I went to an event a while back that had an opening gala party afterward, and there were station after station of like Sunday bar and a build your own burger bar and a whatever. And we stayed very far away from the stations, because you know what it's like when you go somewhere. I used to do this. It'd be like, I'm just going to stand next to the cupcake making bar.
Right.
Cupcakes? I didn't even know they had cupcakes. And staying away from it, what you see is what you want. So if you're there for the conversation and for hanging out, don't stand next to the build your own taco bar.
Yeah, and when there was something at a party that I really loved, I would stand in front of it like some sort of guard and you know, put up a razor wire fence around it and stand behind it and make sure that I got the majority of it.
Like, we don't have access to food all the time. It is ridiculous. But we set ourselves up for failure by placing ourselves there. And I don't know what came first, the weight or the social insecurity.
Yeah.
But I used food as a buffer. Like, well, if I'm looking for food or if I'm doing whatever, then I don't have to talk to people. And hanging out near the table, if you're hanging out with, I think I said this before, like with the 7-year-olds who are making their own fondue pots or whatever, like,
I'm just going to go help the kids with their fun fondue project
for
the children.
For the children. And that social anxiety is a real thing. And a lot of times we deal with anxiety with food and alcohol. So working your way through that and stepping away from the food. Actually, one of my tips is go to the party with a purpose.
Yeah.
Which I didn't actually tell you about.
Yeah.
Go wanting to learn something specific about people. Go wanting to learn about their favorite gift that they got as a child.
Yeah, make up a fun question that you want to ask everybody, and make it part of your mission to ask everyone at the party what that is. You know, and I actually had on my list of things to do is to make sure that you're there to socialize, and don't make it just about the food, but actually make an effort to talk and connect with people. And, you know, presumably you're there with people that you know and that you like. So really try and reconnect with them and not go with the sole purpose of just indulging on the food.
Well, and two, everyone has those awkward, you know, whether you're at a party or you're at a meal, those awkward questions that nobody wants to be asked. So, when are you having kids? So, you dating anybody?
Yeah.
So, what college did you get into? So, did you advance in your job? Those are bummer questions that suddenly bring the tone down. If you can go in and you can go online and find like 50 icebreaker questions and ask an interesting question around the party and just have it be like, hey, I've decided I want to know about everybody's blah, blah, blah. Like,
hey, do you have a favorite like Thanksgiving memory that you'd like to share? Like, do you have any Thanksgiving family traditions that you'd like to talk about? Hey, in A Christmas Story, Ralphie gets that BB gun and it's his best gift ever. What was yours? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And by doing that, you're creating a deeper connection with someone because you have something common to talk about or some sort of common interest. But it also takes away that, like, so what are you doing? Yeah. Like, I haven't seen you in 12 months. Tell me your life.
And while you're talking, it's harder to stuff your face full of food.
There you go.
At the same time.
Well, and Gretchen Rubin also talked about asking people what habit they're trying to break or what habit they're struggling with right now.
I like that.
Because then you actually can talk about, like, well, Catherine and Donald on the We Only Look In podcast. My good friends, Catherine and Donald.
At all of your holiday parties, make sure you mention our podcast and that people should be listening.
Totally not a bummer.
Yeah.
But actually being like, oh gosh, you know what? I've actually had trouble concentrating at work because I'm really distracted. And then you can kind of build a conversation around some neutral topic that is actually about themselves rather than politics or religion or colleges or whatever. So changing the conversation and going in with a plan for it, I think makes you much less of a victim of what the heck am I going to say to all of these people?
Exactly. And now getting back to the food part of it.
I like how he says getting back because that's like, be quiet, Kevin.
That's not that's how you're taking it.
That's how I'm taking it.
But we, I guess it's all about the food and that there's no getting back to it. But one of the strategies that I like to employ is to, before I start taking any food, really look around, see what's being prepared in the kitchen, see what is available before I just start. And again, sorry for the language, willy-nilly putting things on my plate. Because there may be some things that I really, really want, and then I've already put things on my plate that I only kind of want, and, once they're on the plate, I have to eat them because, that's how we are. And really deciding, like, okay, what are the things that I really, really want here, instead of just settling for whatever is the first thing that's in front of you.
Yeah, and prioritizing those must-haves, like we've said before, you can have, a roll with butter anytime. But if there is a signature dish that a place is known for, or your friend always makes something, some sort of special
or your
treat.
Grandma or your mom or something.
Yeah,
or your dad.
We went to a party the other night, and there was, crudité out and a charcuterie board. I didn't, it was kind of later, and I didn't think there was going to be food, but I knew there was going to be cake. So I didn't have any of the snacks, but we stayed for the cake.
Yeah.
And it was my favorite kind of cake. Trigger warning, carrot cake. Donald doesn't like carrot cake.
No, but you shouldn't have vegetables in cake.
Oh, it's so delicious. But
or walnuts. That's even worse.
I took the smallest slice I could, and I actually didn't finish it. And then we left, like, right after the slice of cake. And
I'm proud of you.
And it was done, and it was gone, and there was no opportunity to linger, to even out the cake. So I'm living what I'm telling people to do. Yeah,
and part two of this is, exactly what she was saying. Just stick to your must-haves. And if there are things that the holidays just would not be the same without it, like, stick to those things. Don't just, if you love your grandma's mac and cheese and somebody else has also made cornbread and you're just fine with the cornbread, like, eat the mac and cheese, skip the cornbread, or whatever, examples that has to be.
Well, and in the stores right now, and as we're recording it, it is well before the holidays.
Yeah,
there is Halloween candy on the shelves, and there are Christmas items on the shelves.
Yeah,
and for me, going into the store the other day and seeing the variety of international delights for the holidays. It is 2 months before Christmas. I do not need the Christmas treats right now. And I had to remind myself that right now is not the time to buy whatever. Some people say, like, oh, well, you better get it now before it sells out. And it creates a panic.
Yeah.
And if you're panicking about getting the Christmas cookies and it's November 5th, like, step back. Like, that's not something to
maybe there's
about.
A part of you that's not actually panicking. You just want an excuse to have lots of cookies around so that you'll eat them all.
Well, and Halloween candy is a big issue. And I should just say we've said everything before because we already have, but people have already gone through bags of candy.
Yeah.
And it's not Halloween. And they're going to have to rebuy the bags of candy for Halloween. Don't start buying the Christmas delicacies now. Don't start pre-buying all of the Thanksgiving things now. Wait for the week of. And
yeah, and you don't really need to test out that pie recipe like way ahead of time, just as an excuse to eat a whole pie.
Yeah. And so that fear of missing out, that panic, that limited edition, don't stress yourself out about it. Marketing companies actually do that on purpose to make you feel like they shape something like a Christmas tree or a dreidel to buy them. Like, oh, it's a delicious pumpkin spice shaped dreidel.
Ooh,
delicious.
Reese's peanut butter cup shaped like a dreidel.
You want to celebrate all the seasons and all the people.
For sure.
It's inclusivity.
Exactly.
So let go of that scarcity mindset. You have an abundance of food in your life. It is not the only time you're ever going to have the opportunity to have a Danish butter cookie. Like, they exist in the world. There will be more in the future.
Yeah, they're not going to discontinue them in the world. Like, you'll have an opportunity at some point.
Yeah, so don't pre-buy the food well in advance if you know that they are going to trigger you.
You're just like asking yourself to run out of willpower and eat all of that. Like, there's only so much you can do when you're staring that stuff in the face.
Well, and if you are the person who is hosting, and I know for me, I grew up with like an overabundance. If you're going to have 4 people over, make enough for 8. And secretly, I did that because I wanted to eat all of the leftovers. So I never made food just for Christmas or just for Thanksgiving. It was like, well, we want a week of turkey sandwiches after. So I'm going to make all of the mashed potatoes and all of the stuffing and all of the gravy.
Yeah, for sure.
And part of that, and like in all honesty, part of that was like, I want to seem like a well-prepared, generous host.
Yeah.
And we equate our generosity and our value with the spread that we put out and the quality and the care that we put into it. We feel judged by it, where a lot of the times it's like, we bought it in advance. It's fine. Oh, we're getting 2 Costco chickens instead of a turkey. Like, the experience, I'm not saying, don't do what you want to do, but if it's too much for you, step back a little bit.
Yeah, like your holiday won't be destroyed because you don't have your Nana's green bean casserole. Like, you'll still be fine. It will still happen, and you can do the holiday without that.
Well, and 2, I think families, and I know your family did or does, would have like a ham and a turkey and a lasagna.
Oh, yeah.
And the lasagna because you're vegetarian, which is fine. But like having 4 different mains to choose from.
Right.
Let's cut our losses and just do a single item for dinner.
Exactly.
You don't have to have 3 kinds of potatoes and 2 kinds of stuffing and 6 different vegetables and creamed corn or whatever. Pick something and stick with it, and it's fine.
Yeah. And when you get to the moment when you're going to experience your indulgences, one of the things that I fall a victim to is that I don't really stop and savor and enjoy it. So when you're going to have it, really pay attention to it. Eat it mindfully, eat it slowly, and really savor and enjoy it. Like, don't just, I don't know how many times in my life I've just like, thrown something in my mouth and eaten it. And then I'm like, wait, did I actually even have it? Like, the moment's over and like, I better have another one because I didn't even really like barely notice that I had the first one.
Yeah, no, that distraction is a big issue. And I think it's a loophole too, where it's just like, oh, I'll have another because I don't remember the first one. And we've talked about alcohol before, thinking about if you're eating and drinking, is it going to make you want more calories? Is this really a great night to be drinking?
Yeah.
Is it a night to have moderation? Will you be singled out if you're the one having a club soda over, the holiday, cocktail that they have on hand? What's going to serve you? Because frankly, right now with me and alcohol, I'm not drinking very much. I have like half a glass of something.
Yeah.
And I'm, I feel tired and logy and snacky and all the other dwarves. And I don't feel great the next day. So really considering that and picking the key times to do something.
And instead of, chain drinking, so to speak, like in between each drink, have a glass of water. Like force yourself that you're going to have a nice big glass of water in between. A, it helps fill you up. And B, it doesn't have calories, and C, it stops you from having the capacity to just continually like pound that alcohol.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought about was people take smoking breaks at parties.
Yeah.
People go outside or whatever. I actually, and I did this even before, I like going outside and just looking at the night sky.
Yeah.
Take a little
eating break.
Take a little break, walk to the end of the block and back, just kind of step away a little bit, get, a clear head. Stepping away from the heat and the close proximity to people, for me, is very relaxing, especially if you're an introvert, having just a moment to kind of step away and maybe you'll even meet somebody outside, one-on-one at the party. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
I'm not
for
smoking.
Sure.
You're not smoking. Let's hang out.
And speaking of stepping away, one thing to remember is that every step counts. Even during the holidays, maybe you're out of town, you're out of your routine, but you can still find time to take a 10-minute walk, or you can still find time to do a 10-minute exercise routine in your, whatever bedroom you're staying in. You can, watch a YouTube video on your phone, do a, 10-minute, 5-minute fitness marshal video, like something. Every little bit of exercise, just because you can't do your full exercise routine or that you can't go to the gym or whatever, doesn't mean you should give up on all of it.
Well, and sticking to those big habits, like you said, like there are people who say, I'm not going to weigh myself till New Year. I'm not going to track my calories until New Year. It's too much right now. I can't deal with it. When you say that, you're giving yourself permission to overindulge, and what's going to happen. You're going to gain 10 pounds and then be like, I'll never learn. So keeping those basic habits in place, going for your morning walks, going on an evening walk with your family, starting a tradition of getting off the couch and going to enjoy holiday lights.
Find a turkey trot on Thanksgiving
and
try to get family members to sign up too. Yeah. And if they don't, maybe you just have a fun morning by yourself doing it.
Well, and I know, oftentimes, the act of baking is a big holiday tradition. Either you bake to give to other people, or you bake for yourself.
This is a good one.
And we'd like to give you some ideas and tips about what to do instead of baking. You had a good one involving jigsaws.
Yeah, it was, instead of, baking together, maybe you get a holiday puzzle and everybody sits around the table and does, helps with the puzzle. Or maybe you try and make it a tradition that you're going to play a board game instead of doing something food related.
Yeah, and also instead of making cookies, you can actually make dough ornaments, which are not edible, but there's some baking soda or powder or something in there.
And you've done that with our daughter.
Yeah.
And the ornaments came out really cool.
Yeah, they're really good. So you still get to use the cookie cutters. It's festive and it takes time.
And you wouldn't want to eat them, so you're not tempted to.
No, but you could, we actually do this with our daughter, build a haunted house for Halloween. You could build a Thanksgiving house for Thanksgiving-ween or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But build a gingerbread house. Use stale candy so that if you're triggered, don't do that.
Use one of those kits that's been on a shelf that you would never want to eat, or at least even I, who would eat everything, doesn't want to eat the gingerbread kit that's off the shelf.
And even if you're grown-ups and there's no kids around, make those like little paper snowflake things. You could I used to make popcorn and cranberry garland, which I think Donald thinks putting food on the tree is gross, but I used to do popcorn garland.
I'm just not crazy about how the popcorn garland looks.
Yeah, but if it keeps you busy instead of eating it, then
absolutely.
That's good. You can also do like little ribbon garland, popcorn on a strand, but come up with alternatives to baking, because my kids love to do it. Your kids also love to stick their fingers in their nose. And that is not a tradition you want.
And maybe if you're really being honest with yourself, like it's you that loves eating the baking more than everybody loves actually baking the baking.
Well, and I did that. I would make cookies and I would eat half of the dough. Listen to pretty much any episode of We Only Look Thin, and I'll tell you about a time I ate something meant for kids.
Yeah.
Ice cream party.
She's
Why not?
literally stealing children's food and eating it. Yeah.
No, there's no denying it. So really being honest, coming up with alternatives, coming up with crafts that you can do. Places like Paper Source have, make your own paper wreath parties. You can do many different holiday events. You can go to a painting studio to do a painting thing. Instead of having a food-based party at home, we are actually doing this.
Yeah.
Events in your local area. Christmas or holiday light spectaculars at your local botanical garden.
Oh, yeah.
Pumpkin carved things.
Yeah.
Like, I think in Las Vegas, there was like a motor speedway that had a lights display that was like 3 miles of lights. Do something outside the home that isn't
Go to
food
a Christmas
specific.
parade, for goodness sake.
Yeah, for goodness sake. But there are so many things in your community that you can, if you want to celebrate with people, whether it's a holiday play or a sing-along carol at your local symphony or something at your botanical garden, plan on meeting people at a space like that where sure, they might have a signature cocktail or some hot chocolate for the kids, but you're out and you're doing something instead of standing around eating food. Stop making your events food-based and start having them outside the home as event-based.
Yeah, the holidays are supposed to be about family and friends and not really about the food. Although it's an important part of it, that should not be the number one focus. And another thing that should not be the number one focus is bringing stress upon yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest parts of this is to try and reduce your stress. Try not to invite it. Try not to put the weight of the world on your shoulders to make everything perfect. Try not to bring up politics with your Uncle Jerry, who's going to, make you enraged and then make you stress eat. Try and relax. Make things as easy on yourself as possible. The holidays are still going to happen. They can still be great, even if they're not, your ideal in your head.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we talked about on the last episode, act the way you want to feel and set a song or a mantra as kind of your guiding purpose for the season, because we can be so stressed out about making things perfect that we treat those around us kind of roughly.
Yes, it can definitely happen.
I definitely used to do that, of just being so stressed out that the reason for the season was not trickling down to our daughter because I was stressed out about making something perfect. So stepping back a little bit, letting go of stress. If you are in a place of loss or you're in a place where maybe you don't have the ideal holiday situation, reach out, volunteer, be a part of a community, join a local church, do something outside of the home that can bring you fellowship, because there are lots of people out there, who might not have the traditional, Norman Rockwell holiday family, or you're away from family, or you have someone in the military who isn't home.
Yeah.
Make a new tradition, make something special for yourself. Watch 95 Hallmark Channel TV shows while doing push-ups.
You don't know what's going to happen in those Hallmark movies. You have no idea if they're going to get together in the end. You don't know.
We actually used to watch The Christmas Story every Christmas. We would just have it on all the time. And I can't remember. Last year we were away for the holidays and we didn't actually even see it once. And it felt like weird non-Christmas.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. The very last thing that I wanted to mention, not sure if Catherine has some more, but is, we are all human and we can make all of these plans. We can tell ourselves that we're only going to indulge on these days. And sometimes we're not going to be able to stick to it, but be kind to yourself. If you eat more than you meant to, if you eat on a day that you weren't planning to, try not to beat yourself up about it. We're all human. These things happen. And tomorrow's another day to get right back on your plan and keep going. Beating yourself up and saying bad things about yourself will only lead you to continue the vicious cycle of doing it again and again.
Sure. So if you're in a situation where you feel any regret, again, think to yourself, what do you want to leave behind? What can you forgive yourself for? And what do you want for your future self? What do you want to feel? What memories do you want to make? What mantra do you have that will keep you moving forward? And it's not about having being the person who doesn't eat any indulgent meals all the way through New Year. And then suddenly at New Year, you're like, what just happened? I didn't eat anything. Boo!
Yeah.
Which I actually did one year. But being able to live realistically, to feel good in your body, to move, to stick to habits, to feel like you can respect your choices, because we're going to indulge. I'm going to indulge. I know I am.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do that, but not just closing your eyes to every choice and being a victim on January 1st, I think is really critical to feeling good about your holiday season.
Yeah, I didn't get to my heaviest weight by indulging just on Thanksgiving or just on Christmas Day. I got there by indulging, basically 365 days a year. So once in a while is not the issue. It's the all the time.
Right. And and then there's the the holidays are over. Now I'm depressed because the holidays are over and I couldn't possibly eat well now because I need comfort food because I'm sad.
Exactly.
So I'm going to wait until after Valentine's Day. So we can push the can down the road a month at a time and tell ourselves we'll deal with it. Our future selves will deal with it. But one thing I heard recently was to be something, you have to become something. To be ready, you have to become ready. You're not Cinderella who is suddenly magically ready for the ball. You have to create the person that becomes ready. You've got to create the person who is mindful at the party, the person who eats with mindfulness, with joy, eating foods that they enjoy, and not just acting like it's the last Christmas that butter cookies are available. I've been working really hard on eating things that I truly enjoy, but doing it mindfully and doing it with, I'm a grown up. I am 45 years old and I am starting to act like it, and it feels weird, but it feels very good too. So how can you be a champion of the holiday? How can you feel good in your own skin and be setting a good example for those around you?
And I think that is a great way to end that and to transition to our product of the week.
Pow!
Pow, everybody.
This is a repeat product of the week.
Whoa.
Yeah, why not? We're recycling.
Yeah.
We enjoy Mother Earth.
Reuse is recycling too,
Yeah. So the product of the week this week is the 7-day habit circle.
Oh, that's something you made.
It is. And I am actually using it right now.
Wow.
The 7-day habit circle is you pick a small habit that you'd like to repeat 7 times. And once you repeat it 7 times, you give yourself a little prize or reward.
Ooh, that's so fun.
So at the holidays, and this is how it ties into this in particular, if you struggle with keeping your mouth shut around family about a certain topic.
Yeah.
If you struggle with bringing treats home that you regret, pick something like that to use as your habit circle to focus on.
Yeah.
I am going to only have 1 plate of food at each party that I go to this holiday season.
Yeah. That's
so
a good
you
one.
have 7 different events that you're going to. Each time you achieve your goal, you put a little check mark or a sticker on the circle. And then once you've achieved that 7 times, it doesn't have to be consecutive, just 7 times. Then you get a little reward for yourself.
I think that's great.
In this, I've said it before, but right now we have Amazon Prime, we have Grubhub. Anything we want on the internet, we can find out immediately. And oftentimes gifts don't seem like a big deal because we can get them instantly.
Yeah.
But having a little reward as your sort of carrot to stick to a goal can really matter. So right now I'm actually working on closing the kitchen at 8 p.m. because I am never eating salads after 8 p.m. Once I do that 7 times in a row, so I'm establishing my habit.
Yeah.
I actually bought myself a new Fitbit band. So I don't get the Fitbit band. I bought it. We have it here in the house. I'm not a monster.
I'm going to take it.
I don't think you want it. I think it's pink.
Oh.
But I have it. And once I hit the 7-day habit circle, then I get the Fitbit band. I also have another one that I'm working on, which is sticking to my calorie deficit. And I bought myself a fun t-shirt that I wanted. And then I got the t-shirt and I was like, you know what? I'll save this for a habit circle. Yeah. So I will, once I hit my calorie deficit 7 times, I get the t-shirt. I already bought them. I was going to do it anyway. But now it gives me the pride of patience and sticking to a small habit goal. So think about over the holidays, what small habit you would like to work on that you can hit 7 different times. You can email us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com, and I can send you a copy of the habit circle. And it's a printable that you can print out. We're using it in Molt Place. It's also it's on my Instagram, our Instagram feed. I posted the habit circle there, but you can email us for a fresh copy there. For me, it is a great way to sort of plan a treat for myself. It's almost like not an advent calendar, but kind of a like, all right, if I can, stick to my habit goal 7 times, then I get a reward for that. And it feels, for me, it's a great little boost. You can get yourself, maybe make a list of things you want: a new lipstick, a new app for your phone, a new pair of fun socks, a Fitbit band, a jaunty hat. Of your favorite sports team. But it's been,
all my jaunty sports team hats.
No, but it actually is something where I'm like, oh, I'll do a habit circle. I just finished one. I got a t-shirt, and it feels really good to have a physical manifestation.
No, and it's a great, you feel a great sense of accomplishment, and you have a visual representation when you're like putting a sticker on each time, or, crossing it out or whatever you're doing.
7 times you went for a walk with your family after dinner. 7 times you abstained from that second helping. 7 times, again, you didn't get in a fight with Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
So sorry, Uncle Jim. We don't agree with your ideas, but we're rewarding ourselves for keeping our cool. So that's the real winner.
And the real winners are the listeners.
Yay, pow!
And that is your product of the week.
Pow,
everybody. So thank you so much for listening. And I believe you mentioned Wolt Place a little bit ago. Do you want to tell people what that is?
I did. So we have a private women-only Facebook accountability group where we share successes and we do habit events. It is not a weight loss plan. It is a place to work on yourself while you're working on being the person that you want to be. So it's a very safe community. We share a lot of ups and downs in life. We have activity challenges, food posting days. We've gotten a lot of great ideas from one another, and it's just a safe, small place on the internet where you can share your struggles and successes without feeling judged by people in 3-dimensional life. So it's a great little group. You can find out more about us by going to weonlylookthin.com and clicking on join our support group. There's more information there, a couple of different plans. You can even join have a complimentary membership for a couple of days just to kind of test it out and see if it's right for you.
If you sign up for a 1-month membership, you get a complimentary 3-day trial. And if you sign up for a 3-month membership, you get a complimentary 7-day trial.
Yeah, so see if it's right for you. But it's a wonderful group of people supporting one another, and I'm humbled that people are sharing their journeys with us. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, you can check us out again, or you can email us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com, or go to our website, weonlylookthin.com.
And if you'd like more of our particular brand of shenanigans, you can follow us on the socials, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, all at We Only Look Thin. And if you'd like to help us out, and why wouldn't you like to help us out, you can leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. That would really help us out, and we would really appreciate it. And I believe that Catherine has we're going to try something a little bit new here. We're going to read one of our reviews.
Yeah, so this one was from earlier in the summer, but I particularly liked it because it talked about us being funny, which I agree with.
I agree as well.
It's from Me Mom Philly. It says, "These two rock, inspiring beyond words and just so darn real. Love their sense of humor, like Burns and Allen," which is literally like the best compliment,
huge compliment.
Of
Holy cow.
Anything in the whole world. Honestly, I tell everyone I know about this podcast. The last podcast episode about vacations was so spot on and helpful to me. Honestly, my favorite podcast out there. Always feel good when it's finished. I feel good when it's finished too. But the reviews mean so much to us. It just means so much to know that us two ragtag kids on the mean streets of Hollywood can help change people's lives, because it has been just so wonderful to be able to share our insights and our little brand of comedy with y'all. So
we greatly appreciate it.
So thank you.
We are humbled that you wrote that. We are humbled that you all listen, and we greatly appreciate it. So if you still can't tell the difference between a Danish butter cookie and a crudité, just remember that Catherine and I are
an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.